Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. Thank you all for being here on time. We really appreciate that. We're just going to give everybody the opportunity to join the session. So we're going to just hold off for a minute or two, and then we will get cracking on. So we will start soon. Thanks for your patience.
Yep, I think the room is filling in nicely. We've got about 56 of our participants joining in. Sheikh Zayed must be a little busy.
Let's see, do we start when it gets to 75 or start when we get to 100?
No, Sheikh Zayed Road will be more open now because half of the people are in the rooms on the Zoom call with us.
There you go. That's a nice way to look at it. Yeah.
Okay, I think we should get cracking on. The room
just
is
waiting for confirmation from the team.
Okay.
1 second. Perfect. I think we can go ahead. Akshay, all yours.
Thank you, Aslam. Well, once again, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, and I hope you're all having a wonderful week. We really do appreciate you taking the time to join us today. We appreciate your attention and willingness to participate and learn, so thank you. For the past 25 years, we've been supporting our partners and clients with learning initiatives like this, and we hope to hold many more of these sessions in the near future. So hoping that this is a great success. At Continental, we are extremely passionate about what we do, and hopefully that comes across today through the thoughtful content and the wonderful speakers we have lined up for you. Our goal is to add value and support you with the knowledge and actionable ideas while being fully transparent and obviously having some fun along the way. We want to make a tangible impact on all of you. So in addition to our expert panelists, we are fortunate to have 2 clients sharing their stories with us. I hope they inspire you to ask more challenging questions and nudge you to take the important decisions you need to take. First on the agenda, I'm delighted to introduce Ashok Sardana, a veteran of this profession. He has been passionately guiding families across the globe to secure their financial futures for just under half a century. He embodies the Continental spirit and works under the motto, "We no longer believe in long-term relationships, we believe in lifetime relationships." Our next panelist is Jason Waldron from Zurich International. Jason works with firms like ours to empower customers with insurance and investment knowledge, helping them prepare for anything life throws their way. With over a decade's experience in the profession, he brings great insights to clients and is a master's coach and practitioner in neuro-linguistic programming. I'm also privileged to introduce our 2 guest speakers, who will be kindly sharing their emotional stories, challenges, and successes with the group today. Mrs. Mamta Shukla has been in Dubai for over 22 years and works as an HR manager in a large logistics company. She has a 23-year-old son who is now planning to go to the US for his higher education. Mrs. Shukla was introduced to Continental in 2011, and we are grateful to have her as a client. Our second guest speaker, Mr. Ali, hails from Northern India and has been in the UAE for 27 years. A highly qualified civil engineer, he has been part of one company as an operations manager for 22 of those years. He has 2 daughters and 1 son, and we are extremely grateful to have him share his story with all of us. Today's session will be moderated by our very own Anselm Mendez, who is the sales director at Continental Group. He has been patiently nurturing our sales team in all facets of their group for over a decade and has a beautiful family who does the same for him at home. And on that note, I really hope you enjoyed today's session. We're here to share ideas, collaborate, and help add value wherever we can. Thank you to all of you again for being here, to all the panelists, to all the guest speakers, the moderators, and everyone else who's worked hard to put this call together. And on that note, Anselm, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Akshay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to you on behalf of the Continental Group and Zurich International. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar on saving your life. Shouldn't cost you your life savings. Once again, thank you, Akshay, for introducing our panelists and our speakers. And in the interest of keeping time and being able to allocate sufficient time for audience interaction and question and answers, I'll get straight to it. But first, some housekeeping points. Today's webinar is being recorded. We will be able to share a link with you after the event is complete. We welcome you to revisit the content yourself or feel free to share it with your family, friends, and colleagues. We also invite your comments and questions. Please look at the Q&A chat box. It's there on your screen. If you think of a question for the panelists at any point of time, or if you have a query that you'd like a point that you'd like additional clarification on, please type it in there and I will either pose it to the speakers at the time or hold it for the audience Q&A portion towards the latter half of the webinar. Please do note that in order to remain on topic, we will only be taking questions relevant to today's webinar subject. And if you have any specific questions related either to a policy or to a company or a specific product, we may not be able to answer that in this forum. But I assure you that one of our team members will be in touch with you post the webinar to address your query. So yeah, that was a quick minute. Now let's get straight to it. Just one point, I think Mr. Ali is having a little bit of a connection problem joining in. But as soon as he does join in, we will include him in the conversation. I'm going to start this off by asking our panelists to sort of take a few minutes and share their perspective on just what is a critical illness and what is the importance of critical illness protection for an individual or for and their family. And can we start with you, Mr. Ashok?
Importance of critical illness to the family. When I go to meet a client, my first question is, have you provided security for the family? What is your most important asset? Our most important asset is our ability to earn an income. And the probability of someone having critical illness before the age of 65 probably is much higher than death. And when a person doesn't die and he dies a little bit, then what happens? All the savings that we are allocating, we allocate our savings towards education policy, for education or for retirement. But all that money will not be there if I fall sick, if I fall sick, or if my spouse falls sick. So I think critical illness is one of the most important facets of your financial planning. All of our listeners, when you're doing your financial planning, critical illness, I believe, is one of the most important facets. Please talk to your advisor and ask him more details on critical illness. Over to you, Jason. You have more to say.
Yes, Jason.
Yeah, thank you, Ashok. Good afternoon, everybody. To give you some context, critical illness is an optional benefit and it's available under most life insurance policies. It pays out an immediate cash lump sum if you're diagnosed with one of the illnesses that are covered under the policy. Now, Zurich cover an extensive number of critical illnesses under its policies, but namely cancer, heart attack, and stroke. And that makes up for 85% of all the critical illness claims on our book. Now, as for its importance, well, like me, most of us on this call today are going to be expatriates. So we set out on what we call in the insurance terms, the hill of life. So I left my home country to create a better life for myself and my family here in the UAE. Now, our ascent on the hill of life may have started, much like me, in poverty. And as we become more successful, we start climbing higher up that hill of life, perhaps to a position of comfort. And we keep pushing along further and further until we reach the top of the hill, hopefully in a position of luxury, not only for ourselves, but our family and perhaps future generations. Now, there's a Greek figure in Greek mythology called Sisyphus, who became infamous for his general trickery and having twice cheated death. Now, he ultimately got his comeuppance when the god Zeus dealt him the eternal punishment of forever pushing a boulder up the top of a hill. Each time he gets close to the top of the hill, he loses his grip and that boulder comes tumbling back down, only for him to continue pushing up the hill for an eternity. Now, with Greek mythology, it can teach us a valuable lesson in life, but also with insurance. We may see ourselves in a position of luxury, so at the top of that hill, but should something happen to us, we quickly come tumbling back down it. And we have to start, like Sisyphus, all over again. So what life and critical illness insurance does is drives a wedge between where we are today and the bottom of the hill of life. So by taking a life and critical illness policy, if you happen to cheat death like Sisyphus, you can avoid the eternal struggle of having to rebuild your wealth. So saving your life, therefore, should not cost you your life savings.
But, thank you, Jason, for that. And yeah, it does make sense to do something like that. And I'm curious to go to Mrs. Shukla. You've lived through these scenarios and this experience. And if you don't mind, could you share with us your experience and some of the things that you found that you normally would not expect until faced with such a situation? Mrs. Shukla, I think your microphone is muted. In case you're speaking, we cannot hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now. Please.
Yes, yeah.
We can hear
So
you now.
basically, yeah. So firstly, my husband has opted for this policy in 2011 and then managed to convince me to do the same for me a year later. I didn't anticipate a critical situation where this would turn out to be crucial support. I saw it just investment in health. End of the day, I'm not losing anything by investing a small amount, like, in terms of taking care of my health.
Correct.
However, in 2018, when crisis hit my family, when my husband was diagnosed with cancer, that was the period of great turmoil and uncertainty. But somewhere in back of mind, I knew that this protection plan would see us through the financial hurdles, at least, like, his treatment will be covered by having this protection plan. Nobody predict when, they might face a similar crisis in their life. So yeah, definitely, like, I will say everybody should be prepared with such kind of things and have yourself and your family protected for such times. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Of course, we've got Mr. Ali online with us. Mr. Ali is joining us by audio. Mr. Ali, I'd like to run that same question by you. You have lived through some of the scenarios that our speakers spoke about. And if you don't mind sharing with us your experience of of going through of that situation and some of the things that you would not normally expect until you're faced with that situation.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, my name is
afternoon.
Ali. Hello, are you listening?
Yes,
Hello.
yes, Mr.
Yeah.
Ali, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Ali. I am staying in UAE since last 27 years. And as introduced, I have two daughters and one son. And in 2018, my family was in India and I was here. Then one day I got a call that she has been having some problem, something like this. So there were some classmates of mine who were the doctors also, means school time classmates. I sent to my wife to them, and then they understood immediately. Then they sent to Delhi, and when immediately we got the initial investigation, then we found that has been diagnosed with cancer, and that was very shocking and very surprising to all of us. And I was here, and my son, who was doing engineering, was there, and all those things. We were in deep trouble or deep shock. But of course, as a part of the life, I said, go ahead with all your things. And I was so much involved in this, in her caring and taking her things that I forget that I have some insurance also. But to be honest, I have taken this insurance way back in 2012,
Okay.
and I forget that I have a cover up. Then after 10 months, I reminded, oh, I have this cover up also. Then I opened it and I saw it. And then first of all, I'm thankful to Continental and to Zurich that they supported me, because by that time I have spent a lot of amount, and I was ready to spend whatever is more possible, because life is what we are all working for, and especially for the family. So,
Yeah.
but so I was running short of the money and things like that. But to be honest, this Continental and and their partner Zurich, both of them support us and supported me, and they released all my dues, whatever was there as a cover up, and it has helped me a lot. So that's why when Continental people, Miss Millie and other people, they requested me to join, I said no, for sure. Once I was in crisis, you people have supported me, so now I have to answer you, or I have to come back. Whatever way I can support you, and of course I can guide to the clients, your clients, because this is very, very important in the life. What I feel means you can escape one or the other insurances, but don't escape this insurance of critical illness. This is what my advice will be to all your clients.
Uh,
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Mr. Ali, and we're very and extremely grateful and honored to have you as part of our family, and for you to share your message with many more families. And I hope that we are able to reach out and help some of them. Um, and I would like to take this moment to also appreciate both the courage of both you and Mr. Shukla for being willing to come in front of everyone and share your message and give that hope to all of our audience members. I'm going to go into our next question. And again, this is for all of our panelists. I mean, it's a COVID is in the news. It's all around us. We are living in unprecedented times. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of hesitation. The people are worried about many different things today. In your opinion, do you think that protection planning is something everyone should look at? And Jason, we'll start with you if you don't mind.
Yeah, thank you. Well, thinking actually in terms of certainty rather than uncertainty is the reason everyone should look at protection planning. So globally, if we take a 40-year-old non-smoker, they have a 1 in 5 chance of contracting a critical illness by the time they're 60 years old. And a 50-year-old non-smoker has just over a 1 in 2 chance of suffering critical illness in the same time frame of 20 years. So the odds, therefore, are stacked in favor of illness. Okay. So we should take measures, of course, to reduce the chances of illness. So healthy lifestyle, nutrition, exercise, but also make plans to cope financially if we suffer from them. So herein lies the need for critical illness and protection planning, in my opinion.
Sure. Mr. Ashok?
Yeah, people are talking about COVID uncertain times. I think this is more important now during uncertain times to make provisions that should something happen, at least the certainty of family having the money.
Sure.
Yeah, it is uncertain time, but during this uncertain time, people are still falling sick. They're still meeting with heart attacks and being diagnosed of cancer. We need to provide that security and peace of mind for ourselves and for the families. I think during uncertain time, we need more certainty than any other time. So yeah, COVID is there. When I got married to my wife for the last 45 years, and when we were sitting around the fire, the Pandit didn't, or I didn't say, I will provide you, provided there's no COVID. COVID or no COVID, that security to the family and yourself is prime important. And this cannot be taken away, COVID or no COVID. Absolutely.
Very well said, sir. And I'm going to go to Mr. Ali. Would you like to give us your view with regard to the current time? Mr. Ali, your microphone is on mute if you are speaking.
Yeah, sorry. I agree with Mr. Ashok that whether it is COVID or no, hello, are you listening?
We can hear you, yes.
Thank you very much. So as Mr. Ashok is saying rightly that whether it is COVID or no COVID, one has to take care of its future uncertainties, and especially in terms of medical care. So in terms of medical cares, now so many things are there which even a healthy person, today a person who is healthy, tomorrow you don't know that what will happen to him. So if they are having a critical illness cover with them, at least this will give them a sort of peace of mind in one corner that, okay, financially, if something happens to them, at least they can cover that part. Of course, emotional and things that have to be countered by individuals. But on the financial part, it is I think it is must nowadays, seeing the situation all around the world.
Thank you for that. And Mr. Shukla, if we can have your view, please. Mr. Shukla, I think your microphone is on mute.
Is it okay now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. So yeah, I feel like the current time is really, uncertain. So definitely it would be a great assist to have, any protection plan in corner somewhere, like which can assist us to, protect ourselves in terms of any kind of health issues we are facing during this COVID time.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for that. And I'm going to go back again. I mean, I think you've fairly answered the question actually that I had next in terms of the advice you have for people during these times of uncertainty. Would you? I'm assuming all say that this is the right time to go in for it. And if someone has anything additional to add, I'm going to leave the floor open. We'll start with Jason if you've got something to add on to that.
Oh, hi there. Yeah, thank you for that. So we could also look at uncertainty, and I'll translate that in what it means to me and my observations is that some people are worried about taking on additional expenditure during a turbulent employment market right now. So in terms of protection, though, it gives us a valuable perspective on what it might look sound and feel like if we were never to work again. So the situation we're going through is temporary. However, if we die or suffer a critical illness or are incapacitated, it becomes a permanent situation. So the question is here is, what do you really want to happen to your family in the event that something serious happens to you?
Correct. Absolutely. I think that
I would like to add,
yes, sir.
you know, when a family member suffers from a critical illness, I need to spend time with my family so that we can all focus on recovery and not worry about my finances. If I know my finances have been taken care of, I can spend time with the family. Maybe it's the last few stages. I don't know. That is the time when I need to spend time with my family, you know, and probably provide the best medical care and that's available. So that is the time when I have to be free of financial worry. I know
Yeah.
there is income coming in there. I know there is money which will take care in case my income stops, in case Mr. Ali was saying that I had to spend time with my wife looking after her. In case something happens, you will be spending more time looking after your loved ones than looking after your business or looking after your work. And this is the time when I need to be financially independent and secure. Yes, I have the money to provide the best medical treatment and to provide for my expenses. Yeah.
Yep, I completely agree. Mrs. Shukla, would you like to offer your views with regard to committing now in these times?
Yeah, definitely. Like, you know, I mean, we need to have to prioritize like our needs, and if feasible, definitely I will advise people should have, you know, protection plan, critical illness plan.
Sure.
Like if we have certain plans, definitely somewhere it will support if any, you know, crisis will come, and then we can face those issues, giving, you know, time to our loved ones if they are going through such kind of problems. Yeah.
Sure. Sure. Thank you. And Mr. Ali, would you like to offer something additional in terms of committing now?
Yeah. As far as critical illness cover is required, I think it is mandatory as we are discussing and as what I have personally experienced. And as far as cover of this one is concerned, I can tell you, I can share you my personal experience or my personal planning that being an engineer and being in the construction side and all those things, we have for all the projects some planning, advanced planning. So same thing I put it here that, okay, for at least for 2 years, I put aside the money for the installments or whatever payment have to be made. I put aside 2 years one so that
Okay.
if anything happens to me or something like this, if I have problem in the job or any financial crisis, then I have that money block and my insurance payment or installment can go without any problem.
Sure.
So in this way, I will advise our younger friends, whoever are seeing it, that they must think proactively on such basis that this is a need of the time now. So this is
Yeah.
what I can say.
No, thank you for that. And I mean, just a quick follow-up to that. And this is more for, I think, our professional colleagues, Jason and Mr. Ashok, that, you know, critical illness protection, can it replace an individual or family's income? I mean, how do you see that from an income standpoint? Jason?
Hi, yeah, thank you. Well, usually during our life cycle, we accumulate dependencies. So we might start out in life by leaving university, getting a job. We build a career, we get married, we have children. We might take on a mortgage and start a business. At some stage in that life cycle, we begin to reduce our dependencies. So children leave home, the mortgage is paid, the business becomes successful, and we have enough money and wealth to retire on. Now, it's prudent to protect ourselves as people become dependent upon us. For instance, I'll take an insurance policy to pay off a mortgage, or I'll have a sufficient protection in place to replace my income for a period of time to allow my family to survive financially. But one thing is consistent throughout that life cycle of dependency. Whether or not people have dependencies, we're always dependent upon ourselves for our own survival. So ensuring that throughout the journey we have living benefits such as critical illness is vital, as we're going to need money to take time out of work to recover, adapt our living environment, go through rehabilitation, and give ourselves the financial freedom to choose the way we wish to live after we've recovered. Ashok?
Yeah, I would say minimum of 2 years of your income you should have as a critical illness benefit, because sometimes you may recover faster, which is fine. Sometimes it may take a long time to recover, and you may not be able to get back to your old school of working and the old way of life. So a minimum of 2 years income of insurance. And as I said before, our most important asset is our ability to earn an income. And that's something that we need to protect. If I cannot go back to work for an extended period, my employer will not continue to pay my salary. You may be working for the best employer. You may be working for Zurich or Continental or any of the Fortune 500. If you do not go back to work for extended period, they will not continue to pay your salary. And this is where the critical illness benefit will come in handy.
Correct. Right. I agree. I mean, and that also answers the question that one of our audience members had posted, and I think it's very apt. The question that the gentleman asked was with regard to the percentage that we would allocate to critical illness. So I think we'll get to it in detail if we need to during the question and answers, but as a rule of thumb, 2 years of income is a good rule of thumb to follow. Sorry, I'm getting my words twisted there. You know, just a quick one. I mean, do you think everyone can afford these solutions? We're talking about it. We have a fairly large, wide, diverse audience. In terms of the affordability, what do you think, Mr. Shah?
I would like to answer first before
Yes, please.
You cannot not afford to have this policy. So there's no question of I cannot afford or can I afford it. You have to take out, if you cannot take out $500 today per month from your income, how would you take out $200,000 when you need it the most? Absolutely, you have to budget. You have to. This is like spending on your groceries and all. It has to be. You have to allocate a certain amount of budget for your critical illness. Absolutely,
Sure.
There is no question of not affordability.
Sure. Jason?
So is this something anyone can afford? Well, let's assume that everyone has a TV, or by virtue that we're on a webinar, that they have an internet connection or a TV and internet subscription. So personally, I have a basic TV package with Do, and that costs me $108 per month. Now, for the same money, I, as a 40-year-old, can purchase $700,000 worth of life insurance and $250,000 worth of critical illness insurance. Okay,
Yep.
So let's put this another way.
That shows the non-smoker, Jason.
Thank you. I've done so many webinars now, it's my computer that's smoking, not me. So let's put this another way. So if I suffered a critical illness, the payout would mean that I could continue watching TV during my recovery for another 152 years. Now, if I died, my family could sit down and watch TV for another 500 years. So like a television subscription, in my opinion, it's something that everybody can afford, but it's more about the perceived benefit that it provides that person. So based on a survey that Zurich did in over 11 countries, 8,000 participants, it was about the perceived high cost that prevented people from purchasing insurance. However, when we went back and interviewed them again, the same people said that they were prepared to spend 5% of their monthly salary on protecting their income and their family.
Sure.
So what I'd recommend you do is speak with a financial advisor, understand where your money goes currently, what it does for you, and then what's left at the end of the month, and then what can be used to help protect your family.
No, I think that's great advice, and it's a great point that I think both of you have made. One, it is affordable. There are a variety of options, and it can be, I mean, if you think about it from that perspective, quite, I mean, equivalent to some of the regular things that we do. And also the point that Mr. Ashok made, that this is not something that you cannot, not afford. Sorry for the double negative. We're going to go to a poll quickly. There's a poll that our team has prepared and is going to put that up on screen before we get into the next question. And the first question of today's, the first of today's poll questions is, what is the most vulnerable age? Oh, sorry, that is the second question. But do you know anyone who has suffered a critical illness? Is the first question, and the answers or the options for the answers are yes or no. Please do take a minute to answer the question, and in the meantime, we will go to our panelists with the next question, and we will display the answers to you shortly after the completion of the poll. Yeah, so another question, which is a more common one that I also seem to come across, is something to do with medical insurance cover and critical illness. I mean, we often get asked this, that my company provides me with medical insurance, or I have medical cover. Why do I still need a critical illness? So I'm going to go to you, Mr. Ashok, first, and then to Jason with that question.
Yeah, I get this objection many times. I have medical insurance. Why do I need critical illness? Both are required. It is not that you have medical insurance, you don't require critical illness, or if you have critical illness, you do not require medical insurance.
I'm sorry, just a second. I'm going to, yeah, that's fine. Please go ahead.
Medical insurance pays for your actual medical expenses. If a person is hospitalized, they'll pay for your expenses while you're in the hospital. They will not pay for the loss of income. If I have to take my wife to India or England or anywhere for treatment, they will pay for her treatment, but they will not pay for my traveling with her. They will not pay for the hotel expenses. They will not pay for the telephone calls that I may have to make for the children, to the children. And there's so many ancillary expenses which will not be covered under your medical policy.
Yeah.
I am not suggesting for one moment that replace your medical with critical illness. No, critical illness is over and above your medical insurance. Both are absolutely important. It's like the four wheels of your car. The front wheels are as important as the rear wheels. So you cannot say, just because I have two front wheels, do I require the back wheels? No, you require both of them. So absolutely, both are absolutely essential.
Yeah, no, very well said. And we'll go over to you, Jason.
Yeah, so I'd have to mirror those words, in that critical illness insurance is really something that should supplement medical insurance. So think about the cost of recovering from a major illness, such as cancer, as an iceberg. Okay, so medical expenses cover the top, the bit you can see out the water, whereas critical illness cover provides an immediate cash injection to pay for the bigger costs which lurk under the surface. So repatriation, replacement of income, specialist consultations and treatment, nutrition, mindfulness camps, home adaptation, retraining, and schooling. I'll give you a quick example. Is I recently started playing the UAE lottery, although it's closed down now. I put my money each month on an improbable outcome, and that was to get rich quick. Okay. Now, for the same monthly spend on a lottery ticket, I could have protected myself and my family. So how many of you on the call, such as the previous poll question, can put your hand in the air and say that you know someone close to you that has won the national lottery? Now, if we ask them the same question, okay, about cancer, heart attack, stroke, renal failure, MS, then I bet most of us can put a hand in the air, if not both of their hands. What I find quite ironic is that life, of course, is being compared to a lottery, but there are some certainties. So buying the right ticket that guarantees financial success, such as critical illness insurance, is a much better way of playing life's lottery, I think.
I think that's a very, very interesting analysis there. Ms. Mamta, I'd like to put that question to you, having gone through this period, I mean, with both medical insurance and critical illness, how would you see that that question? Your microphone is on mute, Ms. Mamta. If you would like to unmute it, please.
As I mentioned before, also, like, yeah, definitely, like, you know, people need to have to prioritize their needs. And I mean, as possible as we can cut off in our, you know, unnecessarily requirements, and we can invest in health, that would be more beneficial for us. Like, if it is possible, we should, you know, certain frugal activities we can cut off here. Rather, we can invest into this, you know, protection plan or critical illness plan.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for that. And we've got the results of our poll. I'm going to bring it up on screen quickly. We've got a couple of, so overwhelmingly, 86% of our audience polled has said that, yes, they do know of someone who has suffered from a critical illness, and only 14% said no. So a large majority of our audience has had some encounter with someone from their friends, colleagues, family who've had and suffered from a critical illness. I'm conscious of the time. We're 43 minutes into the session already, and it seems that we've got a ton more of questions to still go. So I'm going to quickly go into the two questions, and then we're going to go to the audience questions. We've answered some of them, but a quick question is I'm going to put this across to our two guest speakers with regard to. Oh, sorry, 1 second. Where is that? So the two guest speakers, and then obviously to our panelists as well. Do you think critical illness cover is only important for the bread earner of the family, or how would you answer that? And if I'd like to go and start with Mr. Ashok, if you can start that, please.
Yeah, many people say I'm the breadwinner of the family, I should have critical illness. Sometimes your life cover, you can say, yeah, fine. For the non-working spouse, probably I could take a lower amount of life cover. But when it comes to critical illness, as I said before, I will be spending time looking after her than looking after my business. So the loss of income will be there. The expenses will still be there. I'll have to modify. Probably I'll have to get more help in the house. I may have to. How many times have you taken a day off because your wife fell sick? You know, she had a thumping headache, or she had a cold, and I had to take a day off. if for one day I had to take a day off because she had a minor illness, what would happen if she felt sick and there was a major illness? I will not be able to go back to work for extended period. Maybe I'll have to travel with her. So this is a policy. This is a cover for both wife and husband, not for only the breadwinner. It has to be for both of them.
Thank you. I think that answers the question very well. I am going to go forward in the interest of time to our audience Q&A. We've got quite a few questions, and I'm going to pose these to our panelists. Before I do, I would like to check with Jason if you'd like to add in anything to the previous question, which was, is it important for the bread earner of the family? What is your view on that?
Yeah, so much of what I would say is being covered there with Ashok's experience, having been through many claims as a business owner and also as a professional within the industry. I'd look at this in terms of my current scenario. I have life and critical illness insurance. I'll be regarded as the key earner within my household, and my wife, although now working, at the time wasn't working. Now, if I'm sick and critically ill, my insurance policy pays out. There's sufficient petrol in the tank to keep me going for a long time financially, and my wife could look after me. In these situations, you need the people who are closest to you to care for you, and there's lots and lots of research that suggests that having your closest friends and relatives next to you each day helps with your overall mindset and recovery. So if we reverse that, who is the person that my wife wants next to her bedside during recovery phase? If we take a look at an average, say, stroke recovery period, or is 18 months and a remission period for cancer being 5 years. I want to be there every step of the way for my wife, okay? And I want to take time out of work to be able to support her recover. So if she's not earning any money and I have to give up 5 years of work in order to ensure that the person I love recovers and I can spend the rest of my life with them, then I need my income to be subsidized. So her claim can give me sufficient money in order for me to take time out of work for that 2-year, 5-year period.
Thank you for that, Jason. Thank you so much. It offers a lot of clarity. I'm going to go to a question from our audience, and this is a question that we have from Mr. Harjeet. And it's an interesting question. Will critical illness cover continue even if you have relocated from UAE due to retirement or family circumstances? And we'll go to Mr. Ashok with that question, if you'd like to answer that.
Yeah, as long as your premiums are paid, if you relocate to a different country, you go back to your home country, your critical illness policy will continue. You will be covered in your home country or wherever you go, as long as the policy is in force and the premiums are being paid.
Yeah, thank you. I hope that answers your question. Another question that we've got, and this question is coming in from Mr. Siddhartha. Can one avail a critical illness cover if the person has already experienced one form of critical illness? I'm going to ask Jason if you would like to answer that question.
I was just going to summarize because the line was a bit unclear.
I'll repeat if you want. So okay. Can one avail a critical illness cover if the person has already experienced one form of critical illness?
Okay, thank you. So it's broad in its essence, the question. But I guess we could look at, if I had a pre-existing medical condition, will that be covered under critical illness? Well, it could be, and it may or may not affect the policy. The most important thing, of course, when applying for insurance is to disclose all pre-existing medical conditions. So if you need to claim in the future, the claim is going to be honoured. With Zurich, 89% of our critical illness applications, we receive are underwritten at standard rates. So that means that the premium that is quoted to you by your financial advisor is the one that's offered. So to kind of tackle that question, other variants of that might be a percentage increase in premium if you have a pre-existing medical condition, an exclusion arising from the pre-existing medical condition, or offering alternative benefits that allows you or gives you the same peace of mind as that you're applying for, despite you having a pre-existing medical condition.
Sure. Thank you. I hope that that has answered the question. If not, we can always reach out to you. Do drop in your name in the comments. The next question that we've got is from Sushil, and this is for Mr. Ashok. Do you have a pure critical illness cover plan?
Yes, we have a pure critical illness cover plan. Most of these pure critical illness cover plans will continue till the age of 65, 70. They do not cover you for your whole of life. So the disadvantage would be that if you're fortunate and you don't fall sick till 60, 65, then there's no cover. What I would recommend is that you should have a cover which continues for the rest of your life, because that's what we want to provide.
All right. We have one more poll and just a couple of questions more. I'm going to ask and request the team to pull out the poll if they can do so. The poll question this time around is, what is the most vulnerable age that one can get a critical illness? And to the audience members, this is going to be open for another minute or so. So do put in your answers as to what you think is the most vulnerable age that one can get a critical illness. The answers range from 0 to 17 years, 18 to 36 years, 37 to 55 years, or 56 years and above. And while the audience is answering that question, I'm going to go to our panelists. And what do you think about that poll question in terms of the most vulnerable age? I'm sure, being from the business and the profession, you have some views on that. And if you'd like to share that, Jason.
Jason, don't give out the answer. Huh?
I don't know. I'll hopefully give you an answer that allows you to tick every box. It's okay. So critical illness isn't biased as to whose life it affects. If we look at our average critical illness claimants from our Middle East claim statistics, it's age 49, but the youngest in the previous 2 years has been 29 as a contracted adult. And if 51 is the average age of death claims with us, and 28 years being the youngest. But we also have claimants who are children with us. Our youngest claimant is age 4, which was last year. The average age of that claimant is age 9. Okay, so to give you an idea of which button to press, unfortunately, I haven't given you too many tips. Yeah, it could happen to everyone, and I think, you know, for everybody who put their hand up, that 86% of people who put their hand up and said they knew someone who suffered a critical illness. Yeah. I'd ask you just to think back of that person or that situation and try and determine their age. And I'm sure if we had another question covering the age groups, it would be completely scattered.
Yeah, we'll see the results soon. And I think we're nearly about end of time for today's webinar. It's been a very interesting conversation. I've got a quick round that I'd like to do so that I can get your closing thoughts. And starting with Mr. Ali, if you can summarize your closing thoughts with regard to the subject of the seminar, which is saving your life shouldn't cost your life savings.
Yeah, good evening. Means as a summary, I can say that it is from my experience. When I make this policy, I have not thought that something will happen, but just as a precautionary measure, I have taken that one. But it really helps me. So I will advise all of your prospective clients that they must think over to take this critical illness for sure, for them and for their wife or for their spouse.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Mrs. Shukla, if you'd like to summarize your views on the subject. Mr. Shukla, your microphone is muted in case you're speaking.
Yeah, is it
Yes.
okay? Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you now, please.
So when my husband diagnosed with cancer, initially I wasn't aware of all the benefit that this plan would provide me. It was only after going through that crisis, I realized that how beneficial this protection plan is for me and my family. I would definitely recommend to everyone to have such kind of policies.
Sure.
This policy made it possible for us to get the treatment required for my husband. And after he passed away, it's really helped me to support me financially. As you know that my son is going for further studies abroad.
Yes.
And definitely that money helps, supporting him for his further education here. So definitely I'll just, recommend to everyone to have such kind of policies.
Thank you, Mr. Shukla. Jason?
Hi, yes, well, again, thank you for everybody who's attended today. In closing, really, you've been provided with some information and some experience led by our guest speakers and panelists. I guess the next step really is action. What are you going to do next? So reach out to a financial planner because the day, in fact, that your life changes, you and your family are going to be glad that you actually made a life-changing decision and understood the importance of being protected.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason. Mr. Ashok?
Yeah, I would like to take a minute.
Sure.
When we do our financial planning, how many of we allocate certain amount? This is for my children's education. This is for my retirement. This is for my daughter's wedding. Do we allocate a certain amount? Or when I fall sick, this amount I need to save, because when I fall sick, I will require this money. We never do that. We never in our financial planning, or if you've done a chart, or I'm saving some money because one day I'm going to fall sick. All of us will fall sick sooner or later. We need to make that provision. We need to ring fence our investments and our savings. You save, and ultimately you'll land up paying it to the doctor or hospital. That's no use. I'm saving money for my son's education. If I fall sick, I have not made a provision. That means my son will not be able to go for his further studies. That is unacceptable. Do you want me to send you a get well card, or do you want me to send you a check of $100,000? I would like to close with a personal story. My brother-in-law, my sister and my brother-in-law, they're Singaporeans, they live in Singapore. My brother-in-law was diagnosed of serious illness. The family, we all knew what was the end result, but all the savings were being diverted on his treatment. He had to go for dialysis, he had to go for all the complications. The family had saved the money for my niece's wedding, but they had to spend money because my brother-in-law was going to the hospital every week for dialysis. We have to make provisions. We have to be responsible. We have to be responsible towards our families. We have to be responsible towards our children. That yes, I am making a provision. Should something happen, I will still be able to provide security for my family. That's the peace of mind that we are buying. During this COVID time, there are many uncertainties. At least buy this certainty and have a peaceful life. Thank you.
I think extremely well put. And it brings a lot of perspective to everyone. We need to think about those things. I think it's been truly engaging. Lots of things to talk about. Thank you to everyone who joined us for today's webinar, and a big thank you to our esteemed panelists, especially Ms. Mamta Shukla, Mr. Ali, Mr. Jason Waldron, and of course, Mr. Ashok Sardana, as well as Mr. Akshay Sardana for joining us and sharing your views, your insights, your expertise. From the bottom of our heart, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being with us. It's been an honor for us. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Shukla.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if you have any additional questions you'd like to connect directly with the Continental team, or if you've put a question that we haven't been able to get to, please rest assured that you can either reach out directly to our team using the contact information that we will share with you, or you can contact your financial advisor, or you can reach out through our website, our Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn channels. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.